Baba, tunataka vile Bwana His Excellency anamaliza kwa amani, yule atafuatana yeye ni wewe utachagua mtu wa kuleta amani katika nchi na kuendelea na kuongoza watu katika njia ya hekima. Baba, tunatangaza election ya amani katika jina la Yesu Kristo. Ikiwa kuna kiongozi Judas Iskarioti, tunamkataa katika jina la Yesu. Tunakuomba amani ndani ya Kenya, kwa sababu tangu zamani na mwanzilishi wa nchi hii Bwana uliwaongoza na wakawa na wimbo wa taifa ya kwamba wewe Mungu ni wewe nguvu zetu. Katika jina la Yesu Kristo mwanao mwokozi wetu, tunakuomba nguvu yako ionekane katika election na uongoze, tuone amani ikiendelea na tuone uchumi ukiendelea na maendeleo yale rais alikuwa anaendelea hata ya kujenga mabarabara na hapa na pale na factory mbalimbali, yote endelee katika kilele cha juu. Neema yako na itoshe. Asante Bwana kusikia maombi yangu. Amani katika Kenya, amani kwa watu wote, tuendelee pamoja na wewe katika jina takatifu la Yesu Kristo aliye Bwana mwokozi wetu, ninaomba yote. Amen.
Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa ruhusa yako naomba tuketi. Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa Majeshi ya Ulinzi, Katibu Mkuu wa Wafanyakazi ndugu Francis Atwoli, mwenyekiti, bodi na wote wanaofanya kazi katika KOTU, waziri katika Wizara ya Leba Bwana Simon Chelugui, katibu wake na wote ambao wametoka katika wizara hiyo, gavana wa jimbo la Nairobi na viongozi wote ambao wametunukiwa nyadhifa mbalimbali za uongozi waliomo hapa, wageni wetu watukufu ambao ni wafanyakazi, mabibi na mabwana. Mheshimiwa Rais, tumekuwa na msafara wa vikundi mbalimbali vya wafanyakazi wakionyesha kadri kazi wanayofanya, na kwa niaba yao ningependa kukuambia asanti kwa ajili ya utendakazi wako. Tumpongeze mfanyikazi nambari 1 Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta. Kwa ruhusa yako Mheshimiwa Rais, nikubalia nimwalike katibu katika uongozi wa KOTU Bwana Francis Atwoli ili aweze kusema kwa kifupi. Karibu sana.
Asanteni sana. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Commander-in-Chief of our Armed Forces, I welcome you here on behalf of Kenya's working men and women. But I want to plead with you before I make my speech. We normally partner up. We are in pairs, workers and employers, including your government represented by the Ministry of Labor. We, under tripartism arrangements, we are social partners. And I would kindly ask you, before I make my speech, and maybe just a quarter of a minute to take about 5 minutes to hear from this organized choir, if they can give us a hit just for 2 or 3 minutes before Jacqueline speaks. I know you have a very heavy schedule today, but we don't want to take it for granted that you are with us here. We will also behave, Your Excellency. Kwa hivyo kwaya mtatupa tu kidogo. I love my sister Jacqueline, because employers and workers, we are registered under trade union. We operate together. Nobody can separate us. We have doubled up to grow, or not even to grow, the economy of any given country. I thank you, Your Excellency.
wafanyakazi kote duniani washerehekea siku ya wafanyakazi. Muhimu ya tuunganisha wafanyakazi pembe zote, kazi kote duniani washerehekea siku ya wafanyakazi. Muhimu ya tuunganisha wafanyakazi pembe zote.
Ni jukumu letu sote kujenga nchi ya Kenya kwa kizazi cha kesho. Kenya yetu tunahitaji tupate uongozi wa kuendeleza kote kwenda mbele. Ni jukumu letu sote kujenga nchi ya Kenya kwa kizazi cha kesho. Kenya yetu tunahitaji tupate uongozi wa kuendeleza kote kwenda mbele.
Your Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya, the Cabinet Secretary for Labor, Honorable Simon Chelugui, Honorable Ministers present, Principal Secretaries present, led by our Principal Secretary Engineer Peter Toom, my brother Dr. Francis Atwoli, the COTU Secretary General, members of the Management Board of the Federation of Kenya Employers, led by our National President, fellow employers and workers, senior government officials, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Federation of Kenya Employers, I bring you greetings, a message of goodwill, and congratulate all of us for reaching this day. I think, Your Excellency, it is a good thing that we're able to meet physically after 2 years of not being able to do so. Employers recognize that we are meeting here to celebrate Labor Day only a day after we said goodbye to our third president, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, where Your Excellency led the nation to give him a well-deserved hero's send-off. We salute President Kibaki for all he did for Kenya, and we will never forget his work. Your Excellency, today gives us an opportunity to assess the performance of the labor sector over the last 1 year. And there are several indicators of the performance which I will not go into because I've been asked to be brief, and I want to honor that request. The Federation of Kenya Employers acknowledges that the labor sector has made great progress in the advancement of fair labor practices in our nation, and that the labor sector leaders actually showed great leadership when COVID-19 started and entered into a memorandum of understanding that allowed us to maintain peace and treat our workers in a humane way and keep employment as many people and as many people in employment and for as long a duration as possible. However, the state of the labor market remains fragile. Enterprises continue to struggle. Some remain closed and others are struggling to get back into full operations and are unable to pay the full pre-COVID wages. Businesses are struggling with the supply chain disruptions and changing workplace dynamics. So employers have had to make heavy investments in technology to support business operations and enhance access to markets. But these have been useful investments to allow us to return people into employment. Your Excellency, the elephant in the room or in the open air is the issue of wages. I am aware that workers have asked for an increase in the current statutory minimum wages. Unfortunately, we were unable to reach agreement during the tripartite meetings of the wages councils due to the extreme challenges facing the labor market. Wages are undoubtedly among the most important conditions of work and employment at the enterprise level, and employers understand the hardships that workers are facing. The primary goal of workers is to get paid for their work, and it is the employer's duty to give them that pay for work done. However, employers seek a wage structure, Your Excellency, that not only protects the lowest paid workers and support fairness, but also helps increase productivity and economic growth and is economically sustainable. It is therefore important to analyze the key fundamentals in the labor market and in the economy before wages and other parameters are reviewed or set. These include economic growth, the state of enterprises, the state of labor, and employment trends, among others. Your Excellency, we take note of the high cost of living that is making life difficult for all of us, but certainly for those at the bottom of the scale. So we do humbly request the government to focus on addressing the push factors behind the high cost of living. These push factors are issues like the high cost of fuel, the disruptions in supply chains of essential commodities, the low food production, and the unfavorable tax regime that need to be reviewed. As an immediate measure, Your Excellency, we kindly request the government to consider revising the income tax bracket and the tax relief to support the lower income earners who are hard hit by the high cost of living. This can be done by raising the lower tax bracket to, say, Kenya shillings 35,000, or done progressively over the years, and the tax relief raised to about 3,500 Kenya shillings per month. We believe this approach is more efficient and effective in helping the lower income earners in an economy with very high informality like we have. Your Excellency, I would We will not go into the details of the changes in the regulatory environment that we have seen since COVID started. There have been very many proposals for amendments of core labor laws in our nation. There are very many policies that are being passed for good reason, and we understand the rationale, but at the end of the day, they all increase the cost of doing business. My second last point is to throw us back to the year 2015, Your Excellency, when you asked us social partners and other stakeholders in the labor sector to ensure that the wage adjustments are not only based on cost of living, but are also on the productivity levels, the need to reward performance, and to support the general development of the economy. The Federation of Kenya Employers strongly supports this wise position, Your Excellency, and calls upon all of us to actualize it. Kenya's productivity is not just low, it is falling. Kenya operates in a global market environment and competes with many countries. So we need a lot of investments to ensure that productivity, issues of skills development, adoption of technology are looked into. And we do know that you are aware than all of us really about our unemployment situation, the high levels of informality, the 2 million Kenyans who lost their jobs during COVID and who are not able to go back to work as yet. So we do plead with the government that enterprises be given an opportunity to recover, to bring the workers who lost jobs back into employment, and for businesses which are still closed to reopen. Your Excellency, my final point is looking at where we are going in terms of the elections. We've prayed about that this morning. Employers want to add their voice to the call for peace. It is important for us that politics be played in a way that does not divide the country. So we do appreciate the work that you've done, Your Excellency, in enhancing tolerance, dialogue, and consultations. And we call upon all political players to embrace social dialogue and tolerance to ensure, as we head to elections, that we do so in a peaceful manner. It is true as a country that our youth need role models, and we do need them, even at the highest level of politics. As a federation, we remain apolitical. We do not take sides, but we follow keenly and with interest the developments in the political arena. We have developed an employer's agenda, a business agenda, a manifesto, which we'll be engaging your government on to help us determine the quality of issues and the priorities for the next government. This would include addressing the high household poverty levels, strengthening and seizing the opportunities in regional integration and continental integration, and thirdly, accelerating the post-COVID socio-economic recovery to enhance stability and predictability in the labor market. Finally, Your Excellency, I want to conclude by thanking your government under your leadership most sincerely for the continued support that you gave employers, even when we had different opinions and had to take positions which were not perhaps in support of some of the proposals and policy decisions. You were tolerant and you understood where employers were coming from. So we appreciate the work that you've done, and we pledge that we'll continue working with you even as you seek to see a smooth transition, and we wish you Godspeed. I want to say as I conclude, Your Excellency, that a noble leader answers not to the trumpet calls of self-promotion, but to the hushed whispers of necessity. You have shown us as a leader that you're willing to listen, and you're willing to do what is necessary to bring peace to our nation. So we want to thank you very much, and God bless Kenya.
Thank you very much, Sister Jacqueline. Your Excellency, ours is a membership-based organization. It's not a political party. And those whom you are seeing here are members of from our affiliates. And that is why we are here. And we want to thank you very much for having shown up to come and maybe square talk about, give them hope, because currently, because of the situation that workers all over the world are in, members of our organizations are having hope against hope, and you might be in a position to raise their spirits and and give them hope in life. Let me recognize our governor of Nairobi, Sister Ann Kananu. Thank you very much. Pia, I want to recognize our Honorable Minister for Labor, Minister Honorable Chelagui, Minister for Labor, and his entire team from the Ministry of Labor, including the PS and so on. Honorable members of Parliament who are here, there are so many, Your Excellency, and including the Majority Chief Whip, Emmanuel Wangwe. I want to recognize him. Sister Pasaris, who is a women rep in Nairobi, and so many honorable members who have come to join us here. Now, we agreed, as you know, this has been a very busy week for His Excellency the President. And not only that, he still has other busy and heavy schedule. Kwa hivyo, I will be very brief, Your Excellency. I want also to recognize our Chief Administrative Secretary for Labor, Brother Jackson Kala, who is here with us. And so many other dignitaries that I might not be in a position to mention each and everyone, and including those who are here with us from morning. Foremost, Your Excellency, I take this opportunity to thank you for honoring our invitation to be our guest of honor today. Now, the theme of this year's Labor Day, Your Excellency, is political change for industrial peace, stability, and job creation. Huu ukiwa mwaka wetu sisi sote tunaelekea katika uchaguzi, theme yetu inasema ya kwamba tunataka amani viwandani na pia kuwa na nchi ambayo iko stable, ndio tupate serikali yako na serikali ambayo tunayoitarajia iwe na nafasi ya create employment for the young men and women who are coming out of our institutions of high learning. Your Excellency, I will be very brief because most of what is in my speech, we will circulate it to the members of the press and our brothers and sisters outside there who didn't show up, who didn't come, or who are celebrating from elsewhere. They will be in a position to read. Your Excellency, as a tradition, allow me to remind Kenyans the brief history of this important day. Hii siku ni siku ambayo haikupatikana kwa urahisi. Tarehe 4 mwezi wa Mei 1886 kule Amerikani, watu walianza fujo wafanyikazi walianza fujo kutaka kufanya kazi kwa masaa 8 kila siku. Na kama kawaida ilikuwa ni ngumu sana kukubaliwa na waajiri wakiungwa mkono na serikali ilikuwako. Na watu wengi sana wakati huo wakiwa na strike, wakati huo walitupiwa bomb na watu wengi wakafariki, Your Excellency. Na wakasema ya kwamba hiyo demand ilianza tarehe mosi wakiwa kwa strike mpaka tarehe 4 tarehe mosi Mei wakiwa kwa strike mpaka wakati ule walipotupiwa bomb tarehe 4 mwezi huo. Na hii ni siku ambayo Your Excellency inasherekewa ulimwengu mzima, sio hapa Kenya peke yake. Ni moja wao wa international days, and immediately after independence the founding father of our nation declared this day to be part of our holidays in this country. Your Excellency, labor movement in this country has grown kuanza siku hizo za zamani mpaka sasa. Na wengi ambao walikuwa katika trade union movement wakati huo kuleta mambo ya labor movement, Your Excellency, including your dad, who was a member of the then Kenya Local Government Workers Union, team up na other agitators, political agitators like Fred Kubai siku hizo, Chek Kibachia na wengine wengi, Agreminya, Siku hizo wakina Ratibu Hussein na wakina Viki Wachira siku hizo za zamani wakidai ya kwamba ni lazima vyama vya wafanyikazi vipatiwe nafasi katika nchi yetu. So far we have done very well, Your Excellency. I can see a lot of people pushing left and right, writing things that are unbearable sometimes because of our political position in the Republic of Kenya. Wanaambia watu ya kwamba what we stand for is not what Kenya stand for. It is not only Kenya. I speak for, I used to represent the East African Trade Union Confederation for the last 15 years before I was elected in the larger Trade Union Federation of Eastern Africa to speak for the entire Eastern Africa from Madagascar to Eritrea, 14 East African countries. We have done very well, Your Excellency. I was also elected during my second term as the person who speaks for Africa in the Organization of the African Trade Union Unity, based in Accra, Ghana, an organization whose the first general, Secretary General was a Kenyan, the late Dennis Akumu. And I don't only end there, Your Excellency, because some people have no history for the strides that labor movement has made in this country. Your Excellency, I am the Vice President of the International Trade Union Confederation based in Brussels, Belgium. And when you talk about Atuoli, you talk about Kenya's labor movement, you all know. And I want to tell you, Your Excellency, me and Jacqueline, we are the long-serving members of the International Labour Organization governing body. Let me also take this opportunity, Your Excellency, to thank you very, very highly, because your government recently, it took a position to campaign for the first African to be elected as the Director General of the International Labour Organization. This was a big stride. Your ambassador in Addis Ababa, your permanent secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and your ambassador in Geneva, they did a lot of lobbying to assist and support global workers to make sure that we had first African from Togo, former Prime Minister, to be elected. And I led the onslaught on workers in the whole world. And that is one of the things that will go down in the annals of history that Francis Atuoli did while he was in labor movement, supported by his government, supported by Kenyans, and supported by others. Your Excellency, we have a lot of teething problems and so many other things of which I will be able to mention to you. But because of time factor, and I know I'm normally what I say, it comes to pass. People can say this and that, but I know. I assured shop stewards, chief shop stewards who are with us here, that I know, this being your part of the last functions for you to attend before you exit. You are the first president in this Republic of Kenya to exit while you are still young. And I know for sure that it is just, you are just going on leave. After fulfilling the requirement of our national constitution, that after 10 years, if you have served, you can as well exit. And let others also try to do what you have been doing. That does not mean you can't come back. So you might, Your Excellency, I know you are, because of your busy schedule, let me ask my minister to say something. And if, Honorable Minister, if I would have forgotten something because I might be advised to come back, I will let you know. Honorable Chelugui.
Your Excellency, Honorable Uhuru Mungai Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of our Defense Forces, Secretary General of Central Organization of Trade Union, Brother Francis Atwoli, the Executive Director of Federation of Kenya Employers, Sister Jacqueline Mugo, colleagues present, PSS present, Chief Administrative Secretaries present, members of Parliament and Senate present, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests, workers present, and those following us in the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Your Excellency, my work today is to welcome you to speak to the Kenyan workers on this 57th Labor Day. However, before I invite you, sir, allow me to make a few remarks. Let me start by welcoming all Kenyan workers and employers to these 57th Labor Day celebrations. This is an important day for workers all over the world because of the significant role human resources play in socio-economic development of our nation. Without the contribution of human resource, no matter how much money, material, and machinery one has, they cannot produce enough. The government which you ably lead, Your Excellency, is always responsive to the needs of workers, even if it also listens to the concerns of employers. Let me also take this time to express condolences on behalf of the Ministry of Labor, all the Kenyan workers of our great republic, on my own behalf, to the family of our departed former President, Mwai Kibaki, whom we laid to rest in eternal glory yesterday. May God continue to strengthen the family during this difficult moment. Your Excellency, the Ministry of Labor occupies a very important part of our national development because of our mission to promote decent work, skills development, and sustainable job creation. In the fulfillment of our mission, the Ministry of Labor, through various departments and sagas, endeavors to inculcate a safety and health culture in workplaces, promote harmonious labor relations, social dialogue, and fair labor practices, and also provide policy guidance on national human resource planning, development, and utilization. The ministry promotes productivity and enhances national competitiveness. We also ensure there is adequate supply of relevant skills to the industry through industrial training, and also develop, implement reviews of labor market policies, legislation, programs for employment and sustainable job creation. Your Excellency, the workers of Kenya are being at the forefront in the implementation of your Big Four agenda, which was interfered by the emergence of global COVID pandemic. In spite of this, Your Excellency, you demonstrated leadership. As a result of Kenyan workers and employers were protected and many lives were saved. Your Excellency, you remember of the programs that you laid down, the reduction of pay as you earn, the reduction of VAT, and payment of a stipend to those who may have lost jobs. All this, Your Excellency, went a long way in protecting Kenyan people and workers. Your Excellency, allow me to thank those Kenyans and international partners who partnered with the Ministry of Labor to lessen the effect of COVID-19 pandemic on workers who had lost their livelihood. In particular, I wish to single out the World Food Programme, the European Union, and the Give Direct, who value their support. We value the support of these partners who extended to Kenyan workers during the height of the pandemic. I thank Brother Francis Atwoli, representing KOTU, Brother Dr. Charles Mukwaya, representing Trade Union Congress, and Sister Jacqueline Mugo, representing FKE, for being true social partners. On the onset of COVID, Your Excellency, we sat down with the social partners and signed an MOU that enabled employers and employees to work from home, or share responsibility, some sharing a timetable, and all this went in protection towards protection of the Kenyan workers. At this point, Your Excellency, allow me to thank all the 85 trade unions that successfully conducted their election last year, which led to election of Brother Francis Atwoli as the Secretary General of KOTU. And my appeal to all the newly elected leaders is to work for the interest of the workers they represent, to avoid temptation of working for their own personal interest. Your Excellency, allow me also to mention that we currently have over 4 million Kenyan migrant workers spread in most countries of the world. As we celebrate this Labor Day, we recognize them for the immense contribution which they make to our country, not only through diaspora remittances, but also through technology and skills transfer, and also for being the most valued ambassadors of our country. I recognize that few Kenyans have faced unfair treatment in destination countries. But I want to thank you, Your Excellency, because for every case that has been reported, your government has used established diplomatic channels to seek answers from those countries. On behalf of the migrant workers, I thank you for approving the setting up of the Migrant Workers Fund. Your cabinet approved also the posting of additional labor attaches and also approved the setting up of temporary rescue homes abroad to respond to the interest of the Kenyan migrant workers in distress. As I conclude, Your Excellency, I wish to appreciate International Organization of Migration and International Labour Organization, who are working closely with the Ministry of Labour on issues of ethical recruitment by private employment agencies and setting up of the Migrant Workers Fund and the Unemployment Insurance Scheme. Your Excellency, I wish to personally thank you for allowing us to work together with our colleagues in other countries to campaign for the first African ILO Director General from Africa. We did caucus through regional forums like the EAC, Council of Ministers, the IGAD, and ARLAC. And in all these meetings, we were able to pitch for our African candidature that led to our finally election of the first African to be the Director General of International Labour Organization. I thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, finally, allow me to thank the workers because I know they will, during this campaign electioneering period, they will maintain peace after voting in the coming general election. We have just started recovering from adverse effects of COVID-19, and dear workers, and let us not do anything which may compromise our work environment as we head to the next general election. So, fellow Kenyans, fellow workers, I wish to request you to be upstanding as we welcome our president, to address Kenyan workers and Kenyan people. Your Excellency, the President.
Pole, Your Excellency. Niko kitu kimoja nilisahau, and it has been reminded to me in the speech of the minister, and I must say it before you come up. It's not protocol. Sijaombea, si ndio? Ni lazima niombe, si ndio? Tukifanya hivyo, rais atarudi na kile kitu ametubebea. Kwa hivyo ni lazima niombe, na kabla sijaomba, Your Excellency, you will forgive me. Sit down a little bit. It's our workers' day. Utaniwia radhi, Your Excellency. Iko vitu viwili vitatu hivi niliambiwa na wafanyikazi, ni lazima ni kuremind. Kwanza, I want to thank your government. What they did during COVID, we agreed. We had a memorandum of understanding, as it has been officially mentioned by the Honorable Minister for Labour, and the President went further to classify some of our produce or the employers involved in production of the export products, particularly those in cut flower industry, tea, coffee, pineapple, and so on. He allowed them, he classified them as essential services providers. And during COVID and during curfew, they had an opportunity to access the external market. 2, Your Excellency, I want to very highly thank you. You asked Kenya Airways to provide cargo space, and they converted their passenger planes into cargo planes for the purposes of exporting goods outside, and therefore we sustained and maintained some little money to keep workers in employment. I want to thank you for that. Having said that, Your Excellency, I have few things to mention that I had forgotten. One is NSSF. In the NSSF, Your Excellency, if you read the Act, your government cannot appoint anybody for us, nor can we appoint somebody to sit on the board of NSSF for government or for employers. It's now almost from September when I ceased to be a member of the NSSF board. We appointed Madam Rosso Mamu. She's qualified in her every aspect of representation. Very effective lady to represent us on that particular board. To date, your government has not gazetted her for reasons not known to us, for reasons not known for employers, and for reasons not known to everybody. Your Excellency, when I joined that board, I had a 327 billion portfolio. I left it when it is almost 300 billion Kenya shillings. It is the only fund that was not interfered with those corrupt Kenyans who smell money like a rat smelling where a piece of meat is. Your Excellency, I want to leave that one for you too. It is NHIF. These are organizations that are close to us as workers. NHIF, Your Excellency, your government has a policy as per our constitution to provide universal health care. And that is the only place, if you have honest, sincere, and committed board that can assist you and your government and the government of the 5th president to provide universal or to implement universal health care. At one time, you tried to work out on a budget allocation, and there were about 6 billion earmarked to provide health services to members of your civil service. This money ended up in the pockets of the individuals at the NHIF. We have said, as you struggle, as your government struggles to provide universal health care, we have constant policy to use the employers to deduct dues from working men and women in this country, and this money is remitted to NHIF without fail every month. Now we require an ardent, articulate, effective representation that can keep an open eye to our contributions at NHIF. Sasa hivi tunaomba ya kwamba we must revisit the NHIF Act so that we can have two boards, one taking care of the universal budgeted for from the treasury money, and workers in that particular same board taking care of their own contributions. We are asking for that. And lastly, Your Excellency, ni mambo ya NITA, National Industrial Training Authority. We have tested KRA. Let not KRA collect dues from employers for NITA. Normally KRA, they delay in remitting those funds. We tried them at NHIF, and up to date they have not remitted 22 million Kenya shillings. That NITA will collapse if you leave collection of their dues in the hands of our Kenya Revenue Authority. Maybe they don't have capacities into our left, they are incapacitated, or they don't have means of collecting dues for the parastatals of your government. Your Excellency, I want to talk about minimum wage, mshahara ya chini. Mshahara ya chini kwa kawaida, Your Excellency, it opens up mambo ya CBS. Na hii ndio imefanya nisimame hapa. Na kabla sijaongea hiyo, Your Excellency, let me talk about iko mnyama anaitwa SRC. When we fought for SRC to be in our constitution, it was on advisory role. Little did we know it was going to usurp powers of free and independent collective bargaining. This has caused unhappiness within the public service unions and civil servants per se. They are not supposed to set wages and incomes for workers. We have ILO convention protecting, and this is an international, it's a universal requirement, that we bargain collectively, free and fair, where worker and employer can exercise give and take basis. We negotiate, that parastatal has money to pay, and somebody comes in called SRC. This is a dormant organization. It comes in to say, no, this is what should be paid. This is what we think it is right. I want to appeal to our members of parliament that this area of SRC must be revisited. It was put in place only to advise, not to usurp the social partners' responsibility of free and independently collective bargaining. This is an area that is protected by the International Labour Organization conventions and even the International Organization of Employers, based in Geneva, and our International Trade Union Confederation, of whose I'm the Vice President, based in Belgium, Brussels. Workers all over the world and employers, government is an employer. We are supposed to sit down and negotiate. There is nowhere in the world where CBA can be in place for 4 years when the economy or economic performance is dynamic. Having said that, nimesema hiyo mheshimiwa, najua hata ukiwa wapi. Juzi, our second president of the Republic of Kenya, Mzee Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, until recently when he became sick and passed on, we were visiting him for an advice. You being young, there is no anywhere you will hide. You will not hide. President Uhuru will not hide. We will be there. We will come to you for advice. We will come for you for support. And lastly, as you exit, support your Azimio aspiring candidates without fear or favor. Namaliza nikisema hivi. Najua kwa hakika tarehe 9 sisi tutashinda uchaguzi. Hiyo najua. Tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 mwaka huu, wengi watafunja redio zao, wengine watafunja television. They will not believe. They will not believe. They will not believe. Kisha sema hiyo, Your Excellency, we are expecting 23.4%. From 40 tumenegotiate tukafika 23, na kualika kuja mpa watu pesa. Mpa watu pesa uende.
Asante sana ndugu Atwoli. Tafadhali tuketi, nashukuru sana. Hamjambo nyote? Hamjambo tena? Asanteni sana. Board ya KOTU Executive Board, General Secretary ndugu Francis Atwoli, wa branch secretary ambao mmefika hapa siku ya leo, ma shop steward ambao mko hapa siku ya leo, viongozi wa wale ambao wanatuajiri, FKE Jacqueline Mugo, viongozi wa wizara ya Leba, hamjambo tena. Sande njema tukiwa leo pamoja tukisherehekea siku hii ya wafanyikazi ulimwenguni. Na nianze kwa kusema ya kwamba I am really very delighted to join the workers of Kenya and indeed the world at large in marking the International Labour Day. On this day, we join workers across the globe in celebrating the dignity of labor, honoring and paying tribute to your resilience, and most importantly, recognizing your critical role in our plans to build back our country stronger and better after the COVID pandemic. As we mark this occasion, we again affirm that our efforts to cushion workers against COVID-19 did offer relief to millions of Kenyan households. Many may recall that at the height of the pandemic, we took necessary action to reduce pay as you earn for the lowest workers in order to avail more income to our workers across the country. We took action to reduce VAT on many of our essential products, amongst many other actions, and all this aimed at trying to ensure that a global pandemic did not impact too negatively on our citizens. And today, I want to begin by thanking Brother Francis Atwoli for acting as a faithful steward and partnering with my administration in promoting the interest of workers. Our workers are the backbone of our economy. You are the backbone of our way of life. And indeed, throughout the COVID-19 disruptions that began in the year 2020, today we celebrate our first face-to-face celebration since the onset of COVID. And we celebrate you, our workers, who have kept the Kenyan flame burning bright. And indeed, for that, as a country, we shall remain forever grateful and indebted to all of you for your genuinity and your support in a very difficult time. Today again, we convene at a unique time in our history, a history of our region and a history of the world. Globally, efforts to build our economies back after the COVID-19 pandemic have been slowed down by a myriad of events on the global scene which have put our multilateral system under undue stress. We all know that from the onset of COVID, and as the world was trying to recover, New geopolitical actions have interrupted our recovery path, matters that have been well beyond the capacity of many nations, especially developing nations across the world. We as Kenya are still a young nation. In fact, as I have said repeatedly, we as Kenya are a work in progress. And like everything else under construction, a nation building is not and can never be an event. It is a process. A process that needs patience, a process that needs perspective, a process that requires sacrifice, a process that requires persistence, but above all, a process that requires and needs positive energy. Great nations across the world are built on positive energy. They are built on hope and affirmation. And you as workers are the embodiment of these pillars. I encourage you to continue powering our development by building and believing and being champions of our Kenyan dream. Leo hii tumekaa hapa, wakati tunaongea nikiangalia huko naona magari ikipita kule juu, barabara za anga. Hii ni kwa sababu ya kazi yenu. Hii ni kwa sababu ya ushujaa wenu. Hii ni kwa sababu ya kuamini ya kwamba nchi yenu inaweza kutimiza mengi, sio kila saa kujilaumu ama kukubali wengine anyway, wacha nisiseme hiyo, mimi nimekuja kuongea mambo mengine. Because Kenya is still a work in progress, allow me to focus on two things that I consider to be right with our country. And I believe the first has to do with opportunities created by our economic transformation as a nation. A transformation that begins with ideas but ends with hard work before the fruits of prosperity are earned. And these opportunities have been exploited by those who have rejected labels that disempower them, that discourage them, and instead have been taken up by those who want to embrace truth that inspire the work of these hands that God has given us. They have resolved not to be organized by the politics of division, hatred, and baseless promises. Rather, they have seized the day and thus migrated from also being earners of wage to owners of capital. I want to give example of one particular group of Juakali artisans who for a long time have operated on Ngong Road, have operated in Kariobangi and in Kamukunji. They came together and have built a company that today is worth over 250 million Kenya shillings, a quarter of a billion shillings ya wafanyikazi wa Juakali. And they have been able to do this because they believed in their own capabilities and not in difficult and empty political promises. And this is what should inspire us all, and in particular our young people. And I want to tell you how they did it. When my administration rolled out the affordable housing scheme under our Big Four agenda in 2019, a group of Jua Kali artisans from these areas came to see me and said that they wanted to be involved in that agenda. And we contracted them to make doors for the houses that were being built for one of our projects. And as they executed this contract, they decided to form a company that would receive their payments. And they formed Ngoko Kamaka Limited, which is a name drawn from where they used to operate along Ngong Road, Kamukunji, and Kariobangi. On completing their task of building those doors just for one estate, this group of Jua Kali artisans bought 55 units of the houses of whose doors they were making, and in 2 years, they have moved from an ad hoc Jua Kali entity to a formal business entity which has the requisite creditworthiness to take large loans from banks. Today, this Jua Kali group is worth over $250 million Kenya shillings because their focus was right and their understanding of where Kenya is going was correct. There are other examples of positive energy. As many shouted and screamed at the height of the pandemic, as opposed to helping us find solutions, we came up with a Jua Kali initiative to take into account the many who, from no fault of their own, lost employment, and we managed to mobilize resources for the Kazi Mtaani initiative, an undertaking that we took as an administration to cushion our well-meaning young people from the COVID-19 pandemic. And as a result, across the country, over 500,000 young people managed to benefit, and some still continue to benefit from this initiative. But despite the fact that some had lost their jobs, the Kazi Mtiani initiative allowed them to form 1,266 youth groups that were not organized by government, but were organically formed by the young men and women themselves. Of these groups, 1,025 have benefited from commercial loans and our affirmative action funds. Similarly, they have established since then 2,113 new businesses that did not exist before COVID in agribusiness, in retail and services such as salons and barber shops across the country. Wakenya ambao walikubali na wakasema hawatashindwa na shida, watajichukulia hatua na tukasaidiana na wao. Mambo ya kuongea matope na matusi haijengi nchi. Mpende msipende, haijengi nchi. Hiyo ndio ukweli. This is testament that if we as a country focus on our capabilities over empty political promises, then the impossible is nothing. If Jua Kali artisans can do and form corporations that are now worth millions of shillings in less than 2 years, and those who form themselves in groups under Kazi Mtaani are able to start small businesses across the country, I believe every Kenyan can do the same if they focus on their capabilities and exploit the positive side of what is right about our country. Indeed, another uplifting example worth mentioning on the economic front has to do with the quality of our workforce. the World Bank, kwa sababu sisi, we don't like looking at statistics. We like creating statistics. Kulingana ni nani anaongea. Ukisikia huyo ni mkubwa anaongea, mnasikia hiyo ndio ukweli. But statistics from global organizations, the World Bank itself has indicated that Kenya will have the most productive workforce on the African continent by the year 2036 if we continue on our trajectory. And this excellence, as we have just heard, is not only just being felt in Kenya, but it is also being felt internationally. Today, we as Kenyans are the third largest skilled workforce of all foreign workers in the United States of America. Kenya, nchi ndogo. That phenomena is replicated across the globe, with Kenyans driving ICT, education, healthcare, construction, tourism and hospitality, and many other sectors in countries far away from Kenya. So today, as we recognize our Kenyan workers working here locally, I also recognize and honor our Kenyan workers in the diaspora. Today, ladies and gentlemen, they are one of our biggest resources as a country. When I took the oath of office in 2013, Kenyans in the diaspora used to remit approximately 117 billion Kenya shillings back into our economy every year. Today, our Kenyan workforce working outside the borders of Kenya remit approximately 375 billion Kenya shillings each year into our country. This colossal contribution has not been created by superheroes. It has been created by ordinary Kenyans, driven by our belief in their capabilities, driven by what is right about our country. Above all, they are experiencing individual prosperity in the countries that they work, but also building a brighter future for their families back home. The second ground for positivity and belief in what is right about Kenya is that while we are faced with challenges, we have laid foundations that we require in order to overcome these challenges. In pondering these challenges, I invite you once again to view them through the lens of what is right about Kenya. There is no question, fellow Kenyans, that the cost of living throughout the globe has shot through the roof as a result, first of COVID-19, and consequently as a result of the conflict that is ongoing in the Ukraine and Russia. But we here in Kenya have taken measures that we consider sustainable. I know people would want more, but we can only do that which is sustainable, that which we can afford, to cushion the vulnerable, including workers and our farmers, especially on the cost of inputs. And today I just want to use the cost of fuel as an example. Many do not know that Kenya is one of the few countries in the world that has cushioned its population against rising prices of fuel. In fact, our fuel price of petrol, diesel, and kerosene is today amongst the lowest in our part of the continent. If we had not protected our consumers against this global increase in fuel prices, our petrol prices would have been approximately Kenya shillings today, 173 shillings per litre for petrol. But in order to cushion our people and to do so sustainably, the government has had to pay 29 shillings per litre as a subsidy in order to keep the prices at the level they are. We have similarly subsidized diesel and kerosene. Currently, our diesel pump price is Kenya shillings 125.5 a litre. Again, the lowest price of diesel in our region, and beyond this, it is secured by a government subsidy of 40.2 shillings per litre. If it was not for the subsidy, the price of diesel would today be 165.7 shillings per litre, or 25% more than the current price. What this means is that without intervention, everything transported by diesel engines would have gone up by 25%. Na hapo nitasema, kwa sababu Madam Mugo yuko hapa, na nashukuru vile umesema ya kwamba hii ni partnership, na ni partnership ya wale ambao wanaajiri, ya wafanyikazi wetu na serikali. Lakini ni hatia kubwa sana kwa wengine kuchukua pesa, kwa sababu hii pesa ya subsidy sio pesa ya Uhuru, ni pesa ya hawa wafanyikazi ambao wametoa kwa kodi. Na ikiwa wengine wenu mutatumia hii subsidy na badala ya kupatia Wakenya mafuta, munaenda kuuza hiyo mafuta kwa bei ya juu kwa nchi ingine, tunawaona na tunawaangalia na tutawachukulia hatua. Kwa sababu hii ni pesa ya Wakenya, ni kodi ya Wakenya, na hamwezi kutuambia na mtuambie hatuna mafuta kwa stesheni zetu, na tunajua hiyo mafuta munauza kwa nchi zingine nje, mukitumia ati ndio mutengeneze faida huko badala ya kurudisha benefit kwa wananchi wa Kenya. Please tell your people it is a partnership. We must work together, and we need to benefit our people through our taxes and through our sweat. Yetu sio ya kusaidia nchi zingine, yetu ni ya kusaidia wananchi wetu. Na hiyo ni ukweli wa mambo, na mutaiona tu. Fellow Kenyans, although the cost of living has gone up because of global reasons, we must also appreciate our local solutions and the strong foundations that we have laid. And this is what I am calling positive energy. On account of the various economic stimulus packages rolled out by administration over the last 2 years, we have helped to cushion, not resolve, to cushion, because we can only do that which we as a nation can afford. And we have helped cushion our families to cope with the challenges arising from shrinking opportunities as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and other global issues that are well beyond our control. And indeed, I am proud to say that unlike the private sector that declared redundancies that led to retrenchments, we in the public sector maintained our workforce at pre-COVID levels. Hakuna mwalimu, hakuna mfanyikazi wa serikali, hakuna askari ambaye alifutwa kwa sababu ya ukosefu wa pesa. Watu wetu wote waliendelea na kazi zao bila kukatwa mishahara vile ilikuwa inaendelea katika nchi zingine. Na hiyo ni ukweli wa mambo, watu wakubali wasikate ukweli wa mambo. Wewe ulikatwa mshahara? So in that same regard, I equally call on the private sector as key partners of the state in our journey of economic development. Please, let us work in the same spirit, Madam Jane Mogo, you've just mentioned. Let us all make readjustments that will secure the elusive balance between profitability on one hand and on the other hand, sustaining the wellness of our labor force. You need them to make your profit. In lean times, let us also sacrifice a portion of our profits to keep our labor force happy. Kwa hivyo, nikija kumalizia, nataka kusema nimesikia yale ambayo yametajwa na nataka niyajibu. Mimi uandikanga kidogo kisa ingine hiyo. Na tunasema ya kwanza, ndugu Atwoli amesema ya kwamba wafanyikazi wa Kenya wangependa kuhakikishiwa ya kwamba ule mtu ambaye walichagua awe kwa board ya NSSF kusimamia haki ya wafanyikazi, kwa sababu NSSF inasimamia pesa ya wafanyikazi na haki ya tuelekeza tuseme ya kwamba kama ni pesa ya wafanyikazi, wafanyikazi pia lazima wawe na jicho, wajue hiyo pesa inatumika kwa njia gani. Kwa hivyo waziri, mimi nakuamurisha leo ya kwamba hii sikukuu ndefu ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu ametupatia, ikifika Wednesday, mimi nataka kuona gazette notice ikiweka huyo mtu kwa kazi. Agreed? Na hiyo ni amri, sio maombi. Yake ilikuwa maombi, yangu ni amri. Yeah. Si namna hiyo? Ya pili, umesema ya kwamba kwa board ya NHIF, ile sheria ambayo iko imenyima wafanyikazi wa Kenya haki ya kuwa na kiti katika hiyo board. Wajumbe wako ndio hawa, na waona na waangalia. Maina Kamanda namuona chief whip hapo, nawaona wengine. Madam yuko hapa wa Nairobi, dada yuko pale. Hebu simameni muonekane. Haya, ongea na watu yako, hawa ndio watu yako. Sheria ni yao, wakipitisha mimi nitaweka kidole. Si namna hiyo? Kila mtu na kazi yake jameni. Ama ni namna gani? Ya tatu, umesema ni mambo kuhusu SRC. Tuoli my friend. Sasa mimi na ndugu Raila tulimenyana hapa, tukazunguka nchi hii, tukasema tupatieni nafasi hapa tubadilishe hii katiba. Kuna vipengele ingine ambayo inasumbua wa Kenya. Nyinyi wenyewe mumeangalia, sisi tumetoa jasho tukitafuta, wengine wamesema hawataki. Nyinyi mtajibu hiyo kwa uchaguzi ambaye inakuja. Hiyo ni yenu mujibu. Wale ambao wanaona mambo ni sawa, wale ambao wanaona ya kwamba tuko na katiba mzuri, lakini kuna vipengele vingine ambavyo vinatuletea shida na ni vizuri tuiangalie. Mimi najua fikira zangu ziko wapi na vile nimejaribu, lakini kwa sababu uwezo ni wa Mwenyezi Mungu, sio wangu pekee. Uwezo ni wenu nyinyi wa Kenya. Uwezo ukaenda ukachukuliwa hapo na koti, na mimi nikasema sina vita na mtu. Mtaamua hiyo kwa mtaamua vipi jameni? Mnataka tubadilishe hii tutengeneze ama mnatakaje? Nataka kuona kwa mikono ni wangapi wanasema tunataka tutengeneze na ndio haki ipatikane. Ama ni namna gani wenzangu? Tusije tuwe watu ambao ni wadanganyifu. Na wacha niwaambieni, hakuna kitu ngumu kama wakati nchi na dunia mzima iko na shida mingi mbali. Shida ambayo inategemea viongozi. Shida ambayo ina haja na viongozi kuwa wanakaa, wanaketi, wanajadiliana kwa sababu ya vile mambo yalivyo magumu. Na mimi nawashukuru wa Kenya kwa sababu mambo yamekuwa magumu, sio tu kwa nchi yetu. COVID sio wa Kenya walilete. Sio wa Kenya walilete ugonjwa ambao umesababisha mamilioni ya watu dunia mzima kupoteza maisha yao na mamilioni wengine wengi zaidi kupoteza kazi zao. Hiyo haikuwa kwa sababu ya Uhuru ama mtu mwingine. Na wakati tumejaribu kuyawekelea na kujaribu kufanya tutafanya namna gani ndio tujiokoe, tumeanza sasa kujitokeza, tumeanza sasa kuona barabara. Wengine wameanza vita ambaye sisi hata hatuelewi, ambaye imesababisha bei ya mafuta, bei ya vyakula kwa nchi zingine kupanda na kutuletea shida zingine. Na badala ya viongozi kuwa wanaketi kusema tutasuluhisha namna gani jameni, tutasaidiana namna gani, wengine wanaenda huko kuinsight wananchi. Angalia hii bei imepanda, uliza Uhuru. Yaani mimi Uhuru niko Ukraine, mimi ninafanya nini huko jameni? Mimi COVID nilikuwa huko kulea kutoa mimi. Badala ya kuja kunisaidia, kuniambia niko na mawaidha hii na njia hii na njia hii, njia ambaye tunaweza tuokoe watu yetu wakati tunagojea mambo haya yaishe, wewe huko kwa soko na matusi. Na wewe unajiita kiongozi na unajiita ati wewe ndio sijui namba ngapi katika nchi ya Kenya. Uko wapi? Badala ya kunisaidia kuondoa hiyo shida, wewe uko kwa soko kusema ulizeni ule. Basi si ungewacha uniwachie mimi nitafute mtu ambaye angenisaidia jameni? Tuambiane ukweli jameni. Mimi wakati unafika lazima watu waambiane ukweli. Wewe unajua hii shida sio ya mtu. Hii ni shida ya uko wapi wakati mimi nakuhitaji? Na ndio mimi nashukuru huyo mzee. Huyo mzee at least hata kama alikuwa na mambo yake alikuja kunisaidia. Na hiyo ndio ukweli wa mambo. na alijua hii sio shida ya mtu, ni shida ya nchi, ni shida ya ulimwengu. Tutasaidiana njia gani ndio tuokoe wananchi wetu? Matusi ndio nawaambia, and empty promises take you nowhere, but hard work, the labor of your hands. Na hiyo ndio Mwenyezi Mungu alitufundisha, na hapo ndipo tulipo. Kwa hivyo Wakenya wenzangu, recognizing because of all these challenges that we have not had a review of the minimum wage over the last 3 years, further acknowledging the increased cost of living, with inflation currently hovering between 5 and 6% annually. In that regard, and in full appreciation of the critical contribution that our Kenyan workers have made to our economy during that very difficult time, as a caring government, we find there is a compelling case to review the minimum wages so as to cushion our workers against further erosion of their purchasing power, while also guaranteeing the competitiveness of our economy. And in that context, I today declare an increase of the minimum wage by 12 percentage points with effect with effect from the 1st of May 2022, yani leo. And finally, fellow Kenyans, let me take this opportunity to thank our ministry, to thank KOTU and our stakeholders, and at the same time congratulate the Honorable Gilbert Hugbo, former Prime Minister of Togo, on being elected the first African Director General of the International Labour Organization. Through our ministries of labor, foreign affairs, and through our organization, KOTU, Kenya was at the forefront in lobbying for this appointment, and it is indeed my earnest desire that he will work towards placing our African labor movements on the global map. I wish you all, viongozi mukirudi kwa wafanyikazi wenzenu, muambie a happy Labor Day. Shukrani nyingi kwetu sisi zote, kwa wao, kwa vile wamejitolea miaka hiyo ya ugumu, na hakikisho ya kwamba tutaendelea kusaidiana pamoja kuhakikisha tumeimarisha uchumi wetu wa nchi yetu. God bless you all, na Mungu aibariki na ailinde Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, rais wetu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na amiri jeshi mkuu wa majeshi ya ulinzi. Ni hongera kwa kuweka miundo msingi na hata mazingira bora ili wafanyakazi wetu waweze kuendelea. Nitaomba sote sasa tusimame wima, walio na kofia ambazo si rasmi tuweze kuzitoa, ili tumalize kwa wimbo wa taifa wa Jamhuri ya Kenya tunapomaliza sherehe ya leo, tukiongozwa na bendi yetu ya askari wetu wa utawala na kwaya za muungano. Wimbo wa taifa. Shukrani za dhati, na niombe viongozi wetu kwenye jukwaa rasmi tuwe watulivu anapoondoka Mheshimiwa Rais. Tutulie tafadhali, tumpe nafasi Mheshimiwa Rais kuondoka, bendi wakiendelea na muziki. Tafadhali wale wako kwenye jukwaa tutulie tafadhali, tumpe nafasi Mheshimiwa Rais kuondoka. Tutulie tafadhali, wale wako kwenye jukwaa la rasmi.
Na mtazamaji, hizo ni picha za moja kwa moja kutoka katika uwanja wa Nyayo ambapo sherehe za 57 za Labor Day zimekamilika. Ni hafla